The station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Straight ahead here on DC News Now at 6, new details about the 17-year-old shot and killed while police pursued a stolen car. Plus, this week could be unprecedented if former President Donald Trump is indicted, what his attorney is saying this afternoon. And we'll have a recap of the Maryland men's basketball team's final game in the NCAA tournament. What's next for the Terps? But first, here's meteorologist Scott Sumner.
All right, Annalisa, it's still blustery out there, as we talked about yesterday, and temperatures were cool, but it is going to warm up. We'll talk about how much of a warm-up we'll see during the week coming up.
All right, thanks, Scott. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 6. I'm Annalisa Gale. We now know the name of the 17-year-old shot and killed by Park Police on Saturday afternoon. He has been identified as Delanio Martin. Police say they were responding to a call about a stolen car before the shooting on 36th Street Northeast. And they say they were trying to stop Delanio, who was driving that stolen car, but the car kept going. At one point, a Park Police officer was trapped in that car and another was dragged by the car. That's when an officer opened fire. The car crashed into a home following the shooting. The homeowner telling us just a few moments ago he moved from the spot where the car hit just before it happened.
Didn't even hit me to realize I could have died. Not until my sons were able to get through the barricade and walk up to me and say, "Daddy, are you okay?" And it hit me then like, oh my gosh, I could have died.
Our Dave Laval will have more on this investigation at 9 and 10 here on DC News Now. Well, this week, all eyes are on New York following former President Donald Trump's comments in a social media post. In it, he says he is expecting that he will be arrested on Tuesday following an investigation into alleged hush money paid. Eileen LaPalmer joins us now with what that could mean and the response from NYPD and Trump's attorney.
All is quiet right now outside of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and criminal court here, but that could all change come Tuesday. Former President Trump putting out on Truth Social that he expects to be arrested and is calling for protests. An early Saturday morning social media post from former President Trump starts with, "Our nation is now third world and dying." On Truth Social, Trump repeats the claim that the 2020 presidential election was stolen and goes on to say that, quote, "now illegal leaks from a corrupt and highly political Manhattan District Attorney's Office makes it clear that he, quote, will be arrested on Tuesday of next week. Protest. Take our nation back."
It feels great.
It comes just days after former Trump attorney and fixer Michael Cohen testified before a grand jury, hearing evidence that Trump allegedly ordered hush money to be paid to porn star Stormy Daniels. The Manhattan DA's office is not commenting on a possible Trump arrest. On News Nation this week, Trump's current attorney said this when asked about a possible Trump indictment.
It's becoming more probable, I think, now. But the one thing I still hold on to is hope that justice will prevail, that the district attorney's office won't stoop to the level.
A former president being indicted is something that we've never seen before.
Alan Sanders, a professor emeritus at St. Peter's University, says Trump's social media post Saturday is an attempt
to get ahead of the news and try to frame it in a way that benefits him. It's also a way to engage in fundraising. Constitutionally, theoretically, hypothetically, indictment or imprisonment does not disqualify one from the presidency or indeed from any federal office.
As for Trump's call for people to protest, Pix 11 reached out to the NYPD and the mayor's office. In a statement, Press Secretary Fabian Levy said, quote, "in coordination with other local, state, and federal law enforcement, the NYPD always remains prepared to respond to events happening on the ground and keep New Yorkers safe."
Hopefully that this does not happen, that this is not a situation that gets out of hand.
Former senior Homeland Security and law enforcement official for New York State, Michael Balboni, tells Pix 11 law enforcement across the country will be monitoring social media and working to prevent a repeat of January 6th when Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol.
Who's talking about what? When are they talking about? But there's also other things. The surrounding counties. They can tell who's getting on the trains. You know, what are they doing? What are people saying as they're waiting in line? If they come up from the subways, what's going on? This will take a coordinated effort between, NYPD, Secret Service, FBI.
And we reached out to former President Trump's current attorney for more information on whether or not there is an indictment, or if there is, whether Trump would be allowed to surrender. We did not get a response. Reporting from Lower Manhattan, Eileen LaPalmer, News Nation.
And right now, former Vice President Mike Pence is speaking out about the possibility that the former president could be indicted this week. He talked about it with reporters in Iowa on Saturday after a foreign policy forum.
It really is. I think it's going to. I think many Americans are taken aback at the unprecedented indictment of a former president, but also the fact that the Manhattan DA, in the midst of a crime wave in New York City, it says that indicting the former president is his highest priority. It tells you everything you need to know about the liberal left in this country. The American people here in Iowa and my home Indiana, around the country, are focused on record inflation, a crisis at our border, high energy prices, the war in Ukraine, threats from the Chinese military, and how we're going to respond to all of that. And yet, here we go again.
Earlier this month, the former VP said, quote, history will hold Donald Trump accountable when discussing the January 6th insurrection at the annual Gridiron Club dinner here in the district. Well, developing now, Frederick County police are investigating a deadly stabbing on North Market Street. Police responded to the 400 block shortly after 1 a.m. on Saturday. That's where they found the victim with multiple stab wounds. They believe this was a targeted attack. So far, no arrests have been announced. Also in Frederick County, police are investigating a shooting that left one person injured. It happened in the 100 block of West All Saints Street at around 4:30 p.m. on Saturday. That man who was shot in the leg is expected to be okay. Police believe that incident was also a targeted attack. No arrests have been made. And right now in Anne Arundel County, Maryland, state police are investigating a 3-vehicle crash that left one person dead last night. Police say that the incident happened around 9:30 p.m. on the outer loop of I-695 West. The driver who died has been identified as 26-year-old Deja Charvon May, who is from Baltimore. Well, this Tuesday is Equal Pay Day, and the Biden administration is outlining new efforts to close the employment and wage gap between men and women. Raquel Martin has a look at his proposals.
In the face of data showing the persistent pay gap between men and women, the Biden administration is launching new efforts to give more women a leg up in the workforce.
It's a really exciting moment, I think, for us and for families across the country.
S.J. Glenn and Wendy Chun-Hoon lead the Labor Department's Women's Bureau.
The opportunity to influence this equation is actually right now.
They say after Congress passed bills investing billions into infrastructure, manufacturing, and clean energy projects, they want to ensure women can snag those jobs too.
To be able to move into a career track like that, which is higher paying, better benefits, opportunity to join a union.
To do that, Chun-Hoon says the Biden administration is pushing manufacturing companies to offer expansive child care programs because studies show access to affordable child care continues to be a barrier for women pursuing employment.
So we've talked to women all across the country who have been in pre-apprenticeship programs or apprenticeship programs and are interested in careers in the trades. And uniformly, they'll say it is very hard to find non-standard hour childcare.
Labor statistics show female employment is back to pre-pandemic levels.
But the unemployment rate for Black women is still consistently and persistently significantly higher than it is for white women.
The Women's Bureau says by prioritizing childcare, they hope this administration can bridge that gap. In Washington, Raquel Martin.
All right, Scott, it was a little bit cold today, but I still made it outside for a quick run. So,
well, good.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. I did have that runner's forecast up last night. I posted it on the web, so you took fruition to that. Certainly, this is what we're looking at. And we are looking at a camera that's still shaking a little bit here across the board, not just at this place, but at the Reagan National, but elsewhere across the region. Yeah, you can see that shake to the camera. So it is still breezy. The winds will relax overnight tonight. We do have tons of sunshine, 43 degrees outside right now. So that part of the forecast is okay. But this is what I'm talking about. These are some wind gusts, 25 miles an hour here up to Baltimore along the I-95 corridor, off to the west as well. Leesburg, Martinsburg, Cumberland, all seeing 20+ mile an hour wind speeds. So it is still breezy, like I said, but by the time we get to 9 o'clock, when I show you that graphic, the winds will recede just a little bit. As far as the Metrocast, the breakdown hour by hour forecast here in and around the region, 42 at 7 p.m., 37 at 9 p.m., and 34 at 11 p.m. And what about the bus stop forecast for the kiddos tomorrow, both going to school and coming home from school? Well, it'll be a clear sky at 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning. Well, look at these temperatures here, bottoming into the 20s once again. So it is going to be that winter jacket and the winter feel needed. By the afternoon, though, we can shed that winter jacket, 53 degrees, clear skies, less wind. It'll feel a little bit better out there. So what about the weather headlines here? Weather headlines are showing winds diminishing overnight tonight. Spring arrives tomorrow, and then warming temperatures and showers coming by the middle and tail end of this week. That part of the forecast has not changed, but there is one little question mark. We'll dig into that question mark when I show you the 7-day in just a few moments.